In 2031, a small team of scientists went to Antarctica to study ice. They found something else. 10 figures, kneeling, perfectly still. They weren't human, and something very powerful wanted them back. Humanity's answer? No. The storm had been going for 6 hours. Dr. Elena Vasquez was exhausted, cold, and halfway through her third cup of terrible coffee when her radar beeped. She ignored it. At Artemis Station, the most remote research base on Earth, strange readings happened all the time. Magnetic glitches, ice pressure, equipment acting up in the cold. You learned to ignore most of it, but this beep didn't stop. Reyes. She waved over her colleague. Look at this. Sergeant Marco Reyes was a big, quiet man who had survived 3 wars. He leaned over her screen and went completely still. 10 shapes. Human-sized, but not human. Arranged in a perfect circle. 2 kilometers south, buried under fresh ice. That ice, Elena said quietly, formed in the last 48 hours. Reyes was already reaching for his coat. Gear up, now. They almost didn't believe it even when they were standing right in front of them. 10 figures, kneeling in the snow. Arranged. In a circle so perfect it looked like someone had used a ruler. Each one was nearly 2.5 meters tall with forearms folded across their chest and skin that was dark blue, almost like deep ocean water, with a faint glow beneath the surface, and every single one of them was blindfolded. Not with cloth, not with metal, something in between, a dark band wrapped tight around where their eyes should be, covered in strange glowing symbols. None of them were moving, but they were breathing, slow, steady, alive. Reyes raised his weapon. Don't, Elena said. Doctor, they're kneeling. They're blindfolded. They're not attacking us. She stepped closer. Whatever happened to these people, they're not the threat. She crouched in front of the nearest figure. The symbols on the kiao. Blindfold glowed faintly orange. A warning? A name? She had no idea. Her radio crackled. Storm was getting worse. 20 minutes before travel back became impossible, Elena looked at the 10 kneeling figures in the ice. She thought about walking away. She couldn't do it. We're taking them with us, she said. Reyes stared at her. That is absolutely not in the protocol. Then we'll write new protocol. She stood up. Help me. That decision would change everything. Getting 10 giant aliens into a research station during a blizzard is exactly as hard as it sounds. It took the whole team. Every sled they had. 4 hours of work in temperatures that made your fingers stop working after 10 minutes. Nobody spoke. Much. Nobody really knew what to say. When it was done, Elena sent a report to her superiors. She expected confusion. Maybe a reprimand. What she got was much worse. By 4 a.m., the UN Security Council was calling. By 5 a.m., 3 different world governments had called directly. By 6 a.m., a transmission arrived that did not come from Earth. It came from space. Aimed directly at their antenna. Precise. Intentional. Her computer decoded it in 4 minutes, which should have taken 4 years. That alone made her hands shake. The message was short. You have taken what is not yours. Return them to the exact location where you found them. Do not remove the blindfolds. You have 72 hours. This is not a request. Elena read it 3 times. Then she walked to the medical bay and stood in the doorway. The 10 figures lay on cots her team had pushed. Together, still kneeling even in sleep, or whatever this was. Still blindfolded. Still glowing faintly in the dark. Someone had put them in the ice. Someone had blindfolded them. Someone had left them there, in the coldest, most empty place on Earth, and walked away. And now that someone wanted them back, Elena thought about the message. Return them. Do not remove the blindfolds. Why the blindfolds? Why did that matter so much? What were they not supposed to see? Or, a colder thought, what were others not supposed to see them seeing? She keyed her radio. Get me the security. Council, she said. And I need a linguist. Someone who studies deep space signals. She looked at the 10 sleeping figures. I need to know what those symbols say. The 72-hour clock was ticking, and somewhere above Antarctica, something was waiting for an answer. Pause. Then say, but the answer they got was not the one they expected. Dr. Yusuf Okafor arrived 14 hours later. Getting a world-class linguist to the most remote place on Earth in 14 hours should have been impossible. Elena didn't ask how it happened. Some things you just accept. Yusuf walked into the medical bay, took one look at the blindfolds and sat down on the floor, just sat, right there, on the cold ground. Yusuf. Elena crouched beside him. Talk to me. His voice was barely a whisper. I've seen this before, pieces of it, in old deep space data. We thought it was background noise from the universe. He looked up, at her. It's not noise. What is it? He swallowed hard. It's a legal code, a classification, used across multiple alien civilizations. He pointed at the repeating symbols on the nearest blindfold. This word here, it appears in 3 separate alien languages we've partially translated. It means the same thing in all 3. Elena waited. Witness, he said. The room went silent. These aren't prisoners, Yusuf said quietly. They're not criminals. They're not soldiers. He looked at the 10 sleeping figures. They saw something that someone very powerful does not want talked about. So they blindfolded them, Reyes said from the doorway, and hid them in the most remote place on a planet that didn't even know the universe was populated. Yusuf's voice was steady, but his hands weren't. Whoever did this didn't want to kill them. Killing witnesses creates questions. This was cleaner. Hide them. Silence them. Wait. Elena stood up slowly. Outside the window, the Antarctic sky was wide and blue and completely silent. Someone had used her planet as a hiding spot, had looked at Earth, at humanity, and decided they were safe to ignore. Too small, too primitive, too far away. Nobody would ever think to look here, and for a while, they were right. Her radio buzzed. New message from the fleet above. The 72-hour deadline had been shortened. Hours now. They were getting nervous. Good, Elena thought. They should be. Because humanity was about to do something no civilization in the galaxy had ever done. Not because they were powerful, but because they were stubborn. The fleet showed up at our 4717 ships, each one bigger than anything humanity had ever built, moving in a formation that every military analyst on Earth recognized immediately. It was the shape of a force that was about to take something. The UN Security Council met for 11 minutes, for the most important vote in human history. The result was unanimous. Elena received the official response at Artemis Station and read it twice. Then she laughed. Just once. Short and quiet, because it was so perfectly, completely human. Humanity's message to the alien fleet, broadcast on every frequency at once, was 4 sentences. We found 10 beings who needed help. We helped them. We don't know what they saw. But we will not put them back in the ice, and we will not hand them to you. And if you want to talk about this, come down and talk. Silence from the fleet. 14 minutes of it. Then, you are a small civilization. You have no weapons that can threaten us. You have nothing we need. Why are you doing this? Elena wrote the reply herself. She sat at her terminal and thought about the 10 figures in the medical bay, about 11 years of kneeling in Antarctic ice, about the word witness glowing orange on a blindfold. She typed slowly. Because they were kneeling in the ice. And we don't leave people kneeling in the ice. That's not strategy. That's not politics. That's just who we are. Come talk, or don't. But they stay with us. She hit send. And then something happened that no one expected. Across every sensor humanity had on Earth, on the moon, on distant space platforms, new signals began appearing. Not from the fleet. From deep space. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. From distances so vast the numbers stopped making sense. All of them listening. Because those 10 figures were not the only witnesses. There were others, scattered across the galaxy, silenced, hidden, waiting for someone to say the words that Elena had just said. We don't leave people kneeling in the ice. The fleet above Antarctica powered down its weapons. Then it left. And just like that, without a single shot fired, humanity was no longer alone. Then go straight into the epilogue. The blindfolds came off 3 days later. Behind them were eyes that had been closed for 11 years. They had watched an entire civilization be destroyed, and no one had let them speak. Until a scientist in a snowstorm decided that protocol mattered less than decency. Humanity never knew there was a war. We never knew there was a galaxy watching. We just saw 10 people kneeling in the ice. And we couldn't walk away. In a universe full of powerful, calculating, ancient civilizations that turned out to be the most terrifying thing anyone had ever seen. Not our weapons, not our fleets, just the fact that we stopped and helped.